People choose often a career and then decide to change it. Sometimes we have hobbies that can evolve in another career. Our guest today, Greg, is both a professional magician and a tester. He has found magic in IT and magic in people. So let's find together how is it to blend technology and magic. Hello everyone. It should be a Thursday afternoon when we are releasing a new episode and we'll try to learn new things. How could magic and technology go hand in hand? Quite interesting, isn't it? We have Greg for this. So, first of all, apologies for not saying your full name. I will let you do it.
Awesome.
You'll do a better job than me. And please introduce yourself. Who are you?
So my name is Grzegorz Niczyporuk, and I'm a professional magician, yes. It actually happened 13 years ago that I joined the magic entertainment business. But as I already said, since the only disappointment that you can have while being a magician is a disappointment of your parents because you do not have a typical job, then I also joined the IT industry 13 years ago and started my journey into QA.
Okay, great. Was it some experience in your past, in your childhood, in your teenage years that made you think you could be a good magician and then a good tester?
There wasn't such kind of an experience that made me believe that I can be a good tester, but definitely for a magic. I remember when I was a kid, like 8 or 9 years old, there was a show of David Copperfield aired in Polish TV. And he did amazing things when he asked me to put my finger on the TV screen, and then he removed all the stickers from the screen except the one that I was holding my finger against to. That was like, my mind was blown. And later on, I find out a trick with the cards that blow my mind again, but I was old enough and having enough budget to invest in some basic props and start to exploring into magic. And 13 years ago, I have over 460 decks of cards in my room. So that escalated quickly.
Yeah. A lot of card decks. Do you I was always thinking, do you have a lot of card decks? Are they special card decks or are they normal card decks?
So here's the thing. Magicians always can use a one deck more than they have currently in their room. So you always...
It's a rule, like...
Yeah, it's like it's an unwritten rule of magic.
Yes, of magic.
Exactly. So we can always use more. For me, cards are a prop and I use them a lot. Also during the practice, and I practice a lot every single day, pretty much. So I go through approximately 600 decks every single year. Sorry. So that's the one thing in terms of a deck of cards. But I'm using the most basic ones since I have my own card magic show, and I'm throwing a challenge always to the audience that they can bring any kind of a deck, unless it's a certain brand and size, and I will perform my entire 40-minute show on their deck of cards. And there were actually such kind of a situations where people were bringing their deck to my show, and I did on their deck the full 40 minutes show.
Okay. So working with their tools make the work more credible, right?
Yes. I mean, the magic that happens in the audience hands is much more powerful than the magic that happens in magicians' hands. So if they have a sense that they can influence something, they can bring like a legit deck of cards which they bought themselves. That definitely enhanced the experience of magic.
Would you say it started as a hobby and then evolved as a profession?
Yeah, it was exactly like that. And I remember the first show that I did, and I actually took some money for it. It was like around 10 euros that I took for my first magic show. And I remember myself sitting in a car with those bill, and I was like, hey, I can actually make money on this.
Okay.
That was something that occurred in my head, because I never intended to like, I don't started magic because I wanted to make money. It was more about impressing others. It was more about bringing the joy on their face and doing something fun. So yeah, the first one, it was like 12 years ago, if I count correctly. And oh boy, it was horrible.
And what's the story behind the testing career? Did it also started as a hobby and then evolved to a profession? What drove you into
Yeah,
that?
actually, it doesn't start as a hobby, but I at some point of my life when I was like in middle of my teenager ages, like 16, 17, I noticed that when things doesn't work, it really drives me crazy. When things breaks, when things don't work as they're supposed to, I hated this. So through all my studies, I was wondering how I can leverage that.
Okay.
And then one of my friends said like, hey, come to our company, we're looking for QAs. And I was like, that's perfect assignment for me. I want to do this. I want to break things to prevent others from breaking it. But obviously it wasn't the best attitude. But it evolved over the time in terms that I don't want to break things on purpose right now. I just want to make sure that they are the biggest possible, they have the highest possible quality.
And how do you prepare, how do you evolve for such career coming from one that doesn't seem to have anything to do with technology? Like you are a professional magician and then you want to do this part. How do you prepare? How do you teach yourself? How do you gain knowledge? What was your approach?
So in Magic, I did like the classic old school approach. So I looked for the books that are available on Magic. All of them were in English, so I had an opportunity to polish my English as well. I started from reading books and do like a hardcore stuff. So pretty much went through all the books and started to do the things that the books were teaching. And pretty much this is something that magicians don't do very often. There are very lazy kind of a people. As a magicians, we are lazy, kind of. So reading through the basic theory and performing the slides from the basic theory puts you in front of 80% of magicians which are on the market pretty much. Okay. So if you have a really solid foundation and you like what you do, you will always strive for more. So after one book, there was another book and another book and another book. There's amount of a book about magic is tremendous. So that's how I learned into magic. And after 4 or 5 years, I found myself a mentor from United States, the best card magician in the world, pretty much. And we studied for the next 5 years together.
Okay. And what about the testing, the technology part? Does the same approach works for you?
Actually, in testing, the approach with mentor actually worked for me. So when I was when I landed my first QA job, my first professional job, I found out that I don't know nothing. Like the drive to break things isn't good enough to drive me through the daily tasks. So I started to ask people like, hey, how I supposed to do this? Mm-hmm. How I supposed to approach to this thing? And I've met a guy who was a brilliant guy in terms of all his knowledge, not only about the testing, but about software development, about working in an IT industry, so all the insights. And I pretty much treated him like a sponge. I extracted all the knowledge and experience which he had. And he taught me a lot, and that was a really good starting point for me.
Okay. I'm asking all these questions because in the last couple of years I've been exposed to a lot of stories, and I'm sure a lot of others are in the same situations, exposed to a lot of stories where people from some areas of expertise shift to technology or the other way around, but it's not too often that you have people growing in parallel on two different topics in the same time. I would have a personal example, actually, an old friend of mine from high school. He was into acting, and as you said, somewhere in the family, I think there was this pressure, like this is not a real profession. You need something more concrete. You should be a technical engineer, and he pursued studies for that. But then he discovered he moved to another city, another country, and he discovered that he can actually be a professional technical engineer, but in the same time he can grow his hobbies in acting, and then became one second profession for him, and he's doing both in parallel. Do you often meet people that have this need to have skills in two different areas of expertise and use them? Is it something that happens often and we're just afraid of doing it, or we don't have the time for doing it?
Yeah, so I don't meet people who are like in need of having skills from two different areas of expertise, but I'm finding people who want to have skills from two different areas of expertise. And what you already brought up, they're often afraid of doing so, of pursuing their dreams, pursuing their dream career and things like this. And when I stumble upon people like this in my coaching, service that I do, I often ask them, okay, so what is going to happen if you're not willing to try? What is going to happen in the next 3 or 5 years? Well, nothing is going to happen because you are not trying to pursue what your dreams are, right? The only thing which will happen is the fact that you will get older. You will probably get more grumpy, more sour, more sad, more
less
bitter.
curious and
Less curious and more addicted or bounded to the place where you are actually right now. So it will be even harder for you to make this leap of faith and actually give it a try, right? So first of all, we should be afraid of making a change, but we should be more afraid of not risking the change because it won't. I mean, if we are not willing to change, then nothing will change pretty much, right? Mm-hmm. And the question is whether it's worth the price that we're paying for it, right? So.
There is actually this great saying, you should be, how was it? You should regret something that you done than something that you haven't tried.
Yes, fully agree to that.
Yeah. In case it goes wrong.
Yeah.
Because things can go both ways. How does magic and testing blend together? Are they connected at some point?
I believe that not only testing is connected to magic, but also the entire IT industry is connected to magic. So what we often forgot in IT is that it's not about AI that creates opportunities, that creates advantages for the companies. It's not about technologies. It's not about the frameworks that we use. It's not about the tools that we use. It's not even about the things that we produce for our customers. Mm-hmm. It's about the people. People creates advantage. People creates products. People creates the value for the company. So if you think about this, it's all about the people, which magic is also all about the people. And the worst thing that you can do, both in IT and in magic, is to treat the audience or employees as another prop or asset.
Okay.
So that's the worst thing. And so it's all about the people in both magic and in IT.
I didn't put it like this, but it does sound right. And there's a lot of old people in everyone's circle of friends or families that think, oh, what you are building, guys, there with software, it does sound like magic, right?
Yeah.
So we do have magic in IT, but maybe we don't know it enough. Nice, interesting. I read that you say you have a wonderful family. You have 3 kids,
yes.
And you are servant of 2 cats,
yes.
Right? We are always servant for our pets. How do you find the balance between 2 careers and the personal life?
I don't sleep a lot.
That easy.
Yeah, that's the one approach that you can take to this. But actually, if you think about, and I talked about this a little bit in a lecture, it's not about understanding where you can find more time. It's about understanding what really distracts you from what's important for you. So if you understand your distractions, you're able to work more efficiently or plan your time more efficiently. So a simple exercise that I ask people to do when we're starting the coaching practice, write down how much time you spend on a phone. Just scrolling through the
content. You just
content.
need to check some
there is an app built.
app that
there's an app
every
built
operating system has an app that tells you. You spend 3 hours on Facebook. Was it useful for you?
Yeah, exactly. So this kind of a thing, right? How much time you spend watching like on VOD services and things like that. So what do you do with your time? Because all of us have the same amount of time, 24 hours per day. That's the exact same amount that we have. And if you think about things that are really important in your life, then you should commit the biggest amount of time to this. And one of my mentors told me once that if I'm crying about something, I shouldn't do this. And if I'm doing something, I shouldn't cry about this. So for example, I never complain on my family and the kids that they took a lot of time to raise them because I wanted this. So if I wanted this, why I should be mad about this? How does it look like? I knew exactly how it will look like in terms of the time that I need to spend with my kids, right? So why should I complain about this? I knew exactly how it's going to look like. So it's very similar with the things that we want to do. People are very committed to do some change, but then they are surprised by the amount of work that this change requires them to do. So if you are not willing to do the work, don't do this.
It really needs to be passionate about the topic, because we often tend to procrastinate when we are doing things that we don't love. But if you're doing things that you love, like being in entertainment and magic, being in testing and IT, and being close to your family and serve 2 cats, you can find time for it, because you want to do all those things and you enjoy doing them, and then you use your time more efficiently. I'm not sure what to say about the sleeping part. Even though I'm on the same side, I totally understand, and I usually say the same thing. I sleep less, and this helps me do more things. But on the long run,
that's not very good.
Doctor says you sleep less, and you can do a lot of things now in a 20, 30 years time frame, but your life will be shorter.
Yeah, if you think about this, that our body are really a tricky mechanism, since our bodies can store a lot of things. It can store stress, it can store anxiousness, it can store fat, but you can't store sleep.
Yeah.
That's like a tricky thing, right? That's the part about sleeping is just a little bit of a joke from my side, because I had a time when I was sleeping 4 hours per day, but it was crazy. I won't do this anytime in my career at all. I don't want to go there pretty much anymore. So I'm trying to, I get this rule into my life that I'm trying to get myself to the bed the day before I need to wake up.
Okay.
That always gives me a little bit of a benchmark how well I did in terms of providing enough sleep to our body. Because if you think about this, we heard this, that we should be more efficient, we should be multitasking stuff and things like that, which is all not true to how our body is operating. So if you think about this, we are not designed to be machines, we are designed to be humans, and we need a time to go on a very high performance ratio, but also we need a time when we will recover from this. So if you have a balance between performing on a really high performance levels and then a time to balance this by proper rest, then everything is fine. So it's all about the balance, pretty much.
Okay. You mentioned sooner something about being focused and keep your attention to what you are doing. However, some might think that a professional magician is the one that helps people move the attention sideways so he can put the trick on the table. Does it go hand in hand with this approach, or?
So I would say that it's not about, it's not about distracting your audience attention. It's about leading the attention in a correct place.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different approach on something that we call misdirection in magic, right? And I don't like this name. It's like misdirection, right? It's about leading the direction in a proper place, and it applies to IT as well. If you can bring the spotlight of somebody's attention to the proper places, then you're 90% there in terms of QA. If you can bring the spotlight to the issues in your software, to the consequences, to the risks, things like that, it's what
and
it's
this is
all about.
helpful for the team you are helping to build the software.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's really useful to be a professional magician and be able to handle the attention, because in the end you can use it for yourself, as you said, and keep yourself focused to what's important. Nice. What is the magic, you say, the magic in people help you become a professional tester? Are you talking about the people that are using the solutions that you take part into the designing phase and validation phase, or what is this magic in people that we don't acknowledge enough?
I think that there are two kind of things that can relate to this for me personally. So first thing is that I'm kind of like a mix between all my managers, all their good qualities and bad qualities. I'm a mix of every single good thing from the people that I've met along my professional career. And I kind of try to take all the good stuff that they brought to my life and to my career, mix it up and make it my own so I can like use their experience and start from this level instead of starting from scratch. So that's like one thing. But the second thing is the value that people brings. So if you think about the teamwork, which makes the dream work, right? So what you can do alone in IT, if you're not like a freelance kind of a guy, right? What you can do? Well, pretty much you can turn off the light in your room. That's probably the only thing that you can do alone. But for me as a manager, since I have a really nice team and I led teams for last 8 years, pretty much built the teams, led the teams. For me, it's not about my team talking about me in a context of a way that I ask them to do. It's about my team talking about me in a context of the things that I help them to achieve.
Okay.
So I believe that this is the biggest value and magic in people from the manager's position, that they can just like go way beyond the surface, right? They can go way beyond their limitations and do amazing stuff. That's the biggest magic that I experience as a manager. And pretty much it's all about their success, not about my success anymore. Maybe I'm just getting old, but it's starting to get all about the other people.
Yeah, we all have moments in life when we start thinking about the others more, right?
Yeah.
We start by thinking about ourselves in the first years.
Yes, exactly.
Then about the close group of friends and family, and then about
Wider
the others,
group.
wider communities and so on, because we want this sense of purpose. Otherwise, we don't have the energy to wake up in the morning and do that 1, 2, or 3 things that we want to do in the same time in a day. Is a magician using also the magical AI LLM tools in his career?
I never heard about anyone in magic using AI. There are some magic tricks with technology, like with watches, with phones, and things like that. And it's not only about disappearing phones, it's about using the phones to, for example, produce something that you'd previously taken photo of. But there's no actual usage of AI in magic nowadays. Maybe somebody will come up with something.
I saw some tricks that involved a phone, and I'm doing this in front of you, and now check your phone, and you have something on it.
Exactly.
It's
But I have like...
It's just magic, it's not AI.
It's magic, it's not AI. I mean, like, I have really, how to say it, like, really cautious approach about AI. Because I believe that at the current level, it can be useful to the place when it can automate stuff that we really don't want to do, and it can be like very simple tasks.
Okay.
And if you think about magic and a magic trick, there's really a lot of things that are dynamic in its nature, because there are a couple of things that you can control, but there's way more things that you cannot control. How the audience will behave, what they will say, how they will react, all right, how they'll looking at you, at what angle, things like this. You cannot control everything pretty much.
And what about IT and designing software products and testing them and provide quality? Is it the same or?
It is the same, but the difference is, obviously in IT you cannot control anything, but everything, sorry. But if you think about this, the time frame is totally different. For a trick, you have like 30 seconds and it's gone, right?
Yeah.
But for IT, you have sprints, you have days, you have weeks. So it's totally different in terms of a pressure that you can put on yourself. And also in terms of a software assurance, or maybe in general software development, we kind of get used to the fact that failure is always an option. But for the magic, if you fail once, okay, maybe you get a second chance. If you failed your second trick, then probably you will lose half of your audience. Failing third one is probably that everybody going to walk away from you, right? So yeah, the stakes are really higher in magic, I will say.
Okay, understood. So let's see if you have some recommendations for our users, whether it's about pursuing and moving hobbies to the next level, whether it's some good book about testing and become a better tester, or some final thoughts that you want to share and I haven't asked about already?
So I will encourage everyone, if you have something that you would like to pursue in your life, just go for it. Don't focus on ifs. I like to call this like feeding your issues and problems. If you start feeding them with ifs, they will grow big and you will probably never do something that you would really like to do. But instead of feeding your problems and ifs, just do this. Just go for it. And I would quote the biggest philosopher of all times, Jack Sparrow. Problem is not a problem. The problem is your attitude to the problem. So it's not about how big the issue or decision is. It's about how we are going to approach to making this decision or solving this problem. And if you think about this, this is really a game changer. If you are focusing on ifs, or if you are focusing on the very first step, and also think about very first step, not about like what will happen or how I could get to the place where I want to be. Think about the first step of your journey, because that's what really matters, and that's what will keep you going if you make this first step. And then if you look around, you're already one step closer to your goal, right? So just go for it.
Wonderful. I really liked how we put together these two different areas, magic and IT.
And Jack Sparrow as well.
And Jack Sparrow, yes, the famous philosopher Jack Sparrow. So let's keep ifs only for the software, not for our lives, right? Thank you everyone for watching. If you liked our content, please share it with your friends, with your colleagues in your organization or your school. Drop us a feedback on the platform you are watching and stay curious. See you on the other side.
Thank you. See you.